What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today's video is going to be one that's going to be right up there, right on that line of what I'm comfortable with. But I wanted to make this video because it's very obvious that a lot of people have allowed Hollywood to form their understanding of prison and prison terminology and what's really going on or what used to go on. And remember, I can only speak from my life experiences. I did over 24 years straight in the California Department of Corrections. The majority of that time being in Pelican Bay and New Folsom, okay? So, shot callers, man, shot callers. People seem to have this misunderstanding of what a shot caller is. And I'm going to tell you right now, I held positions of authority in several different places, on the yards as well as in ADSEG, the hole, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to tell you right now that even though I had a leadership position, I had authority over other men on that yard, I was never a shot caller. That's a loose term that people would say, like, oh, that's the shot caller, or he's one of the shot callers. Shot callers are the guys that are part of the big four, the legends of every faction. Those were the shot callers. But this video may be all over the place because I was thinking about things today. I was thinking about how people throw certain titles around, and just certain things that people say. And I'm going to just give stories from my life experience, okay? And my experience, see, now everybody's out there. Everybody's on the yard. So what they do now, I don't know. But the way it was before, I'm going to keep it 1,000% real with you. I never, ever met a homie, a camarada, somebody who was really in the mix and really had an understanding of what is really going on behind the scenes that wanted the spotlight. Never met one of them. You know, there's also another thing. Nobody that's really in the mix wants to be in charge of a junkyard. And there's good, solid dudes on level ones, level twos. But back in my days when I was running around doing my thing, level twos, level ones, and some level threes were viewed as lightweight junkyards. Dudes would get thrown on those yards, especially twos and ones. Threes, there's some very serious level threes. But sometimes the administration would plant people out there that shouldn't have been anywhere near that yard, but it was going to take some time to figure out. And the person they planted out there was so knowledgeable in the game that he knew the right things to say to make people hesitant to run his name. Anyone who really knows the game is going to run his fucking name regardless, right? I may get in a story about that here on this, but I want to tell you this. When I went to New Folsom the second time, the last time, right? I was in C10, 2001. I saw committee. They let me know I was being endorsed to New Folsom. So when I went back to my cell, I made sure to reach out to the legend that was there, right? And I let him know, hey, I'm going to be going to New Folsom. I've told this story before, this portion, right? I said, I'm going to be going back to New Folsom. I had met this particular legend in New Folsom in 96, right? But anyways, in the oil. And I told him, I'm going to be going back to New Folsom But they're not going to send me back to B yard this time. They're going to send me to C yard. And the reason why I knew what yard I was going to was because myself, a couple other people, one of them right now being a legend himself, we moved on somebody, a homie. We whacked him, hurt him pretty bad. And it was a check. Well, he was on B facility. So they're not going to put me on B facility because I had been involved in an assault on that homie. He was still good. You know, he took his medicine, went to the hospital, came back, kept his mouth shut, kept it pushing, cleaned it up. So he was on B facility. So I knew I was going to be going to C facility. C facility in New Folsom had a history for being a stronghold for the North, and the Southerners being on that yard, not being with the program. The ones that did would get there, get off, and go to the oil, go back to the shoot, or go to B facility, right? So I specifically asked, what do you want done when I get there? Because you know the history of it. And I was told, you know what time it is. When you get there, if you think you can establish something and we can make some money, do that. If you think you can't, get a crew together and whack as many motherfuckers as possible. I said, I got you. I go down there. Within 2 weeks, 9 of us that were on B facility in Pelican Bay, and then we all went to the shoe. We all wound up together right there in orientation. Free World Robert, check out his channel. He's spoken about the time when we arrived and, you know, when I got there and stuff. So going back to the original thing, people who lust for power call themselves shot callers, and they're not, because they're not made. They're not part of any organization. They're not legends. They're just people who were given some authority over men. They were just given a headache, right? But they lust for it. That's what I landed. I landed in the middle of. The dudes that had the yard had everything all fucked up. Everything was a wreck. When I got there, my intentions were to make money. I was going to take care of the people, you know, the legends that, you know, I was in contact with, had the blessings of. I was going to make sure I took care of them. But also because of the kind of person that I am, I had friends of mine, I had camaradas of mine that weren't legends, but had been validated by the state because of work they had put in, because of the men that they were and how they carried themselves. And cowards would drop kites on them, kite after kite after kite. The cops were scared of them, and so they wind up validating them. And I knew I'm going to look out for them too, because they're stuck in the hole. They can't get out and hustle. They can't sling no dope. They can't. They're right there, and they're good dudes, man, and they deserved it. So when I got there, that was my intention. The vatos that are in place, let them be in place. Let them get the headaches. I'm just going to make some fatty over here. And when I got there, they were all discombobulated because 9 of us came down from Pelican Bay. They knew things were going to change. And so I conversed with them on a couple occasions, and I let it be known extremely clear. You guys got the headache, keep it. I'm going to make some feria. But there are things around here that make it impossible for vatos to really be secure in this environment. So this needs to be tightened up. And let's tighten it up through our conversations, eh? We don't need to hassle anybody in Pelican Bay, because they put you in place because they had some confidence in you. And if we have to put this in their lap, they will no longer have confidence in you, and you become a headache. And there was a lot of excuses. And then mysteriously, 2 of them wound up getting snatched up and sent to B facility. The last one, he caught a chain. He was actually a real cool dude. The other 2 I didn't like. And the 3 of them left one of their friends in play. And he was honestly worse than the first three. He was definitely one of those who was for himself, for personal glory. And for that reason, everybody that knew what time it was despised him. And so it wasn't long before things were put in play, and he was sternly advised that he no longer had a voice there, to just do his time and do his program and stay the fuck out of the way. I guess the Vato didn't believe us when we said, you're not going to get touched, Holmes. As long as you stay on the sidelines, you don't stir no pots, you're going to be all right. I guess he didn't believe us. And next thing you know, he conveniently gets caught with a piece on him on the yard. And so here I am with 4 other dudes, and we have the headache of making sure everything's okay. And as a result, we were getting kites dropped on us on a daily basis. That's the reality of prison. People who try to paint the picture of solidarity and carnalismo and all that, I wonder where these dudes did time at. Now, don't get me wrong. You will find like-minded individuals that you can get very close to. And as soon as you get close to them, your own homies that dislike them, dislike you. Their focus isn't going to be on the blacks. Their focus isn't on the whites, the northerners, bulldogs, anyone else. The focus is on you. And guess where your focus is? Right back on them. You're their biggest threat. They are your biggest threat. You guys will talk to each other every day, laugh at each other's jokes, and they're waiting for you to slip, and you're waiting for them to slip. It is a dog-eat-dog world. One of the most brutal and violent worlds you could ever live in. I'm going to use a different word, but I'll just say worlds that you could live in. You know, when I got out, I met a Marine that had caught a life sentence, got out. And this guy was special forces for a long time. And I've mentioned him before. And he talked about the PTSD from being in the military and the PTSD being a lifer in prison. He said, in his opinion, the stress of doing a life term on a maximum security yard is worse because you don't get to decompress. From the moment they put the handcuffs on you, you're in combat mode to the day you parole or the day you die. In your sleep, if your cellie does something in his sleep that he's never done before, your eyes are wide open and you're alert. Even in your own cell, with your own cellie. Any noise you hear that's out of the ordinary, you're up, you're alert. What the fuck was that? It never stops. Prison ain't a game. Prison ain't a joke. You know, there's people asking me more and more lately, hey, what's up with all these killings? And I tell them, they're just being publicized. That's all. The CDC is playing a cold game with these dudes in there. But they're also playing a part. See, in-house stuff, meaning within your own faction, is never going to stop. Ever. Never, ever. But the riots are gone. And I think that when the CDC is going to try to make their push to put everybody back in the hoyo, back in the hole, slam them down, even guys that don't have a write-up, didn't break a rule. That's what the CDC is really trying to do. People need to remember, men are dying that chose a lifestyle and chose to possibly break a rule or slipped up in their campaign against one of their own and got caught. There's a lot of things that are going on. Those type of things I can't get into. It's none of my business. I just wanted to talk about the guys that want to glorify and glamorize certain labels. You know, somebody asked me about a bloquero, what a bloquero is. And I'm not going to get into all the stuff. I'm just going to tell you this. I never once, my entire time in prison, ever saw anybody who was really with the business accept the job as being a bloquero. That's beneath a camarada. That's somebody that likes to gossip. Really? A bloquero? But they were usually the ones that were selfish. They couldn't make the cut to be on the mesa or be a llavero. So they vied to be a bloquero. And it's just because they want shine. Why take that responsibility? Why put yourself in a position to get told on when you don't have to? But anyways, that's my video for today, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Another glimpse into prison realities in California. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.